All right. So with all that Kendrick talk we just talked about, I just watched and did a full reaction to a video from YouTube creator and professor. He goes by Professor Sky, and he made the argument and the claim for the argument. Made the claim for the argument.
Kind of
the same thing, right?
Yeah, we'll take it though.
Yeah, he made the claim that "Not Like Us" is the most important rap song ever, based upon certain criteria. And so let's watch this little snippet, and then I'll talk about it a little bit more, and then we'll see if it potentially is, or if we have some other potential songs that could go into this. So,
if we are using this as a criteria for songs, what song has more artistic value, cultural relevance, commercial ubiquity, and institutional acceptance while doing something profound in both hip-hop culture and popular culture at large? You tell me in the comments, what songs do more? What song is more deserving of most important rap song of all time?
In this conversation, he brought up some examples himself and pretty much let it be known as to why.
Yeah,
he broke it down to this being the most important rap song of all time.
Yeah, so I kind of agree with this. I kind of don't necessarily agree with the parts that I kind of talked about. Like, sure, artistic value, sure, cultural relevance, commercial ubiquity, and institutional acceptance are two of them where I had a hard time really kind of like 100% agreeing that those two criteria pieces are important to be the best hip hop song of all time or the biggest rap song of all time. I guess maybe if you depend on how you want to word it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I did like his breakdown and how he did it, so definitely check that video out. So he did reference, to Terry's point, he referenced the Rapper's Delight, The Message, Fuck the Police.
Yep.
Fight the Power.
He mentioned My Name Is by Eminem. And then he jumped 20 years and said
he
Old
also said
Roan.
MC Hammer, Can't Touch This.
Can't Touch This, and Juicy.
Juicy, yeah.
As well. But then he jumped 20 years and he said Almost Nothing, and then Old Town Road, which I was like,
yeah.
Old Town Road was one of his suggestions?
I don't even know if that's really a hip-hop song.
I mean, it's pop-hop.
Weren't we trying? Old Town Road
was a country record, right?
It was a country record.
Yeah, that's how it was being presented at the time. Yeah.
So, like I said, it was a good video, but I don't know. Initial thoughts on this idea about, one, maybe his criteria on here. Do you agree with that?
I think in the moment, obviously the record came out, a few months ago or whatever, but I don't know if I'm ready to go there just yet because we're kind of still in it. So that doesn't mean to say that we can't take a gauge of how we feel about it right now. But
why that kind of makes sense though that he can bring that up is because we've been around for these other songs.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair.
So we know.
That's fair.
We've heard and seen what a song like this does in real time. I think that's why we can speak on why this song makes sense to be included in that. What I would say personally,
I would want to start off with, do you guys agree with his
criteria and everything?
Thesis, essentially.
I would take out commercial ubiquity.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what would you replace with the ones that you don't agree with?
That's a good question.
I don't know if I need to replace it with
I think I'd just take that one out.
Because
the commercial ubiquity, I think the commercial ubiquity kind of makes sense based on, again, like how much we said we've heard this song and where it's been used at. It's been used at sporting events. It's been used on the news even. Like if they cut to a break, you might hear the instrumental playing. Obviously, it's going to be at the Super Bowl. It just swept the Grammys. Everybody in the crowd knew the song. So from a commercial standpoint, I think that kind of makes sense.
But doesn't commercial ubiquity also kind of imply sales as opposed to largeness?
I also hear
commercial sales versus ubiquity though.
I also hear crossover appeal when I hear commercial ubiquity.
Yeah, I do too.
The record is crossed over.
Because I feel like when you reach this status, I'm thinking, okay, you're no longer hip hop rap music, you are pop music.
Mm-hmm.
And so can you really classify a pop record as a hip hop record in that type of sense?
Well, the thing about certain pop records.
I mean, I know I'm splitting hairs here, but
right.
like,
But the thing about certain pop records is it actually wasn't created to the point to be a pop record
at all.
But its impact made it a pop record essentially.
for sure, for this example, right? Yes,
Right.
but I'm talking about in general the criterion in general, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if this is going up against an Old Town Road as another reference,
Mm-hmm.
like, for example, what about Soulja Boy's "Crank That"?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But can you make the argument that it's from a commercial ubiquity standpoint, or maybe even institutional acceptance? Can you make the claim that it's has any of that at all, even though it was monumental? It was the first YouTube.
How did he define institutional acceptance?
You can kind of though, even before defining institutional. I don't think he really defined any of these.
A little bit. I mean, I think I would. The way that I look at institutional acceptances is the institution of the music industry and what that encompasses.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
Okay.
the Grammys.
So Soulja Boy's "Crank That" would be a great, pretty much example of that, because people have credited Soulja Boy for being pretty much the first breakout star from YouTube.
True.
But
Musically.
isn't that cultural relevance as opposed to institutional acceptance? Because did he get accepted? Like, did he get a Grammy for that? You know, like, did he?
He got a Grammy because of Beyonce.
But not for.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know. I guess like those are the only two that I'm just kind of on the fence with. Like, I like the way that he presented everything and following what he did. But
and I can look. To me, taking the commercial ubiquity out, I wouldn't particularly need to replace it with anything. Institutional acceptance, we've had these conversations every year about Grammy time, about how incredible it is that some of our favorite artists, for the best work that they've ever done, have never been recognized. Not only with a win, some of them with no nominations. Like, I don't know, I think this may have been the first time Pete Rock has actually been, with the album he did with Common, which I thought was great, was actually nominated for a Grammy.
I think they got two.
So
2 on the night.
So Pete
Rock is a different type of artist, though.
I understand that, but when I think about, when we talk about the greatest songs of all time, and if you're going to assign
largest and most important, right?
Largest and most important.
So I think that's
but like
integral here.
As people who are, dyed in the wool hip hop, what's a more important song than? Yeah, I mean, there are more important songs than, but wouldn't you put?
Troy is 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
Troy is 100% there outside of the commercial part.
Artistic value,
100%.
cultural relevance,
100%.
maybe not commercial ubiquity, maybe not institutional acceptance.
No, it's accepted. If we're looking at institutional acceptance to what Lone said about hip hop as a whole, Troy is 100% there.
Yeah, but it's only hip hop. I can play Troy right now to some people, and this might be the first time they ever heard that song.
Yeah, so I think to his point, it's like Not Like Us is the most important rap song ever. You have to have commercial ubiquity to be considered one of the most important rap songs. But my thing is like it's kind of counterintuitive, or it clashes with the whole purpose of that in the first place. It's out of these, if you want to call these 4 buckets, that's the only one where I'm kind of like Jay Moore says, like I don't know. Well, even institutional acceptance though, like I was thinking, all right, the institution is a lot of the institutions that we're talking about are white related institutions.
So you can talk about corporate entities.
So it's only successful if the white corporate whatever says that this black culture is cool.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation.
That kind of gets muddy in that situation.
It does.
But I think the point that he's trying to make is the song it moved that much that it crossed over to where they like it.
For
so
sure.
I kind of liken it to like if I go DJ a corporate event, there's certain hip hop songs or rap songs that I can play and the CEO would get drunk and everybody else is having a great time. Mm-hmm. This is probably going to be one of those songs.
100%.
Soulja Boy's "Crank That" is one of those songs. I can play that at a corporate event and it goes over perfectly fine.
But I do think, before we jump into the songs, I do think it is important I think the way that he is putting this together is that that these two elements are important for it to be considered one of the biggest songs. Whether or not it's the greatest song of all time or not, I think is kind of irrelevant to this point. And so
he also didn't say hip hop; he said rap,
which is different too, right?
Point.
Okay.
So I think
Then where's Regulate on this list? I'm dead serious. I'm
like even like Snoop, What's My Name? Gin and Juice.
Yeah.
I thought about Gin and Juice, but I don't.
Do you know which one fits all these? That Dre and Snoop did was Next Episode.
Yeah.
I thought Next Episode.
You want to talk about it? So you could play that at a corporate event, a sporting event, a hip hop
Dre
event.
Day.
I thought Country Grammar.
I don't know, kinda.
No,
Not really.
I still think y'all all miss.
I hate that
I think
song,
y'all
but I'm
leaving
just
one.
I mean, we're
one out.
leaving a lot if we're having that conversation.
I would put
'cause
Hot in here on here more than Country Grammar before I put
What
Country
about
Grammar.
Bust a Move?
Yeah, even Baby Got Back.
Yeah. If we're just going to talk about rap songs, because I think Baby Got Back was up for a Grammy.
Yeah,
so.
but
you can say "Whoop, there it is."
But
That's a good one.
But would you put artistic value to Whoop?
That's a good one.
I mean, it's jock rock,
outside
but
out.
Hey, that Young MC Bust a Move probably got like a 99% acceptance rate.
but okay. So
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So with all these songs that we could potentially come up with, is there any song, The Sky's Point, that can compete with Not Like Us for all four of these things that's ever come out?
The Next Episode.
You think?
I think now we're looking at it on a song that's knocking on 25 years old, and you can play it like it's new at almost any place.
What about the Super Bowl?
forgot about Dre.
Man,
I would still put Next Episode. Like if they could play the Next Episode, like you said, going into commercial through the bumpers, and like it would make sense.
What about Institutional Acceptance? Did it win 5 Grammys like that?
oh God.
Dr. Dre won.
I'm just saying, like,
he won Producer of the Year that year it came out.
Yeah, that
He
is
did.
a decorated album.
Yeah.
Album, but
He
song.
talking about
Snoop
the
has
single.
never won a Grammy yet. Like when we talk about artists with cultural impact,
Right.
Snoop, regardless of what just happened this past year, is one of the most recognized hip hop figures of all time. And he's never won a Grammy.
True.
But I think he still has songs that would probably fit in every one of those categories.
And I just remember kind of joking, but not really, when me and Brother to the Night, shout out to him, were first working together at my place. I can say it now because it's closed, the Casbah. And I would joke, I was like, yo, if it's early and it's just a random grouping of white people who come in to have a drink before it gets thick, if you know what I'm saying, like go ahead and play the Next Episode, go ahead and hit off that G-Funk.
Or even Regulators.
Regulate, yeah, exactly. That's why I said Regulate. Like those songs they might as well be new.
What about those Little John era songs too?
I don't think those have held up.
The only thing about those songs is
I don't think
is
they've held up. I never liked them. But I'm just saying.
I mean, they still go.
That's what I mean. That's
They
my
still
point.
go. But the thing about
They
the Little
definitely still
John,
go.
the Little John segment of time is what they classify as urban. That's real urban, because you're probably not going to play that at a corporate function. So when I think of something that hits all of these, it has to be able to go off at a corporate function.
Right.
And I'm not talking about a all black company that's part of the Fortune 500 that came up on that shit and is going off there.
Right.
It has to be a mixture of different cultures in there. Like this song is going to get played whether there's white, black, Indian, Korean, Chinese, Mexican. It doesn't matter. Everybody knows this song. And I think those are the type of songs that fall into that category. Is something that isn't necessarily culturally biased by race. I think everybody has to know what that song is.
No, I agree.
I don't know. I don't know if I have one song that is
but also,
bigger than like Not Like Us.
It's a hard out. Because even when we talk about institutional acceptance, Kendrick swept the BET Hip Hop Awards that none of us watched or cared about, and then can come and do at the Grammys. He's going to get his at basically every award show, and then next year you got to realize GNX will be eligible.
Yeah.
For
he's
the
not
album
done.
category.
He's
So
not
he's
done.
so he's going on a run in what people might call, I don't know, maybe the second part or the middle of his career. Like this is crazy for, where I thought after Mr. Morale, we weren't going to hear from Kendrick for years. He's going to be like Sade. Whenever we got something, we'd be happy to get it. And this is how big Kendrick and GNX was. And I didn't even think about this when I said that, is that, Sade put out a song the same day GNX came out. And I know some people who are listening to this is like, what? Sade put out a new song.
I didn't know.
Exactly. And
I love Sade.
Yeah, I know. But it's just, that's how big Kendrick's wave is right now that Sade put out a new song and we don't care.